She sold it that's Ronnie and Marcy's job. I just come and listen. I gave mine up for the paper guy. I was being nice. Oh, yeah, great. Mainly, it was wet when I got home. I usually have a copy of it. I think it would be better for him to be up front and stay right next to Marcia.
Welcome to Tuesday, August 21st meeting of the Los Angeles Grovestown Council. If we can have the roll call, please.
Mayor Browning.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Here. Okay, we can stand for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, again, we ask for wisdom and guidance. Give us civility. Give us a great meeting tonight. We pray in your name. Amen. Okay, before we have approval of the agenda, I've got a practice calendar request from Mark and everybody that we take the A, B, and then it's 7A, which all affect the college, and then go on to the other organizations. So everybody all right with that? Any other changes to the agenda? I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Be a problem, I think.
Okay, Ryan makes a motion. Jim seconds. Further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Consent agenda. Move to accept any changes. Have a motion by Jim to accept the consent agenda. Second. Okay, Ryan seconds it. Further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Yes.
I'd just like to say that the minutes were done very well, and I thought that was right on.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right, moving to presentations. We have a certificate of completion for Vice Mayor Jim Rocket. Now, who makes that? Mr. Underwood.
That would be me, Mayor.
There you go.
It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be here again, and I hope I don't disappoint the Vice Mayor very much. I'm going to take some liberty and represent the Florida League of Cities and the Institute of Elected Municipal Officials. I've been teaching there for a little over 2 years, accounting and budgeting, and I would urge you all to attend and re-attend. It's a good class, it's a good session. With that, I've had the opportunity over the years to actually teach some people that I've worked with or for. And this last one, I had the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Green from the Village of Wellington. I've had the opportunity to teach my council members in Oakland Park, and Davie, and other locations. it is interesting that I thought I would tell you, according to Lynn, the mayor was the only one, or the vice mayor was the only one there that was their unpaid position. All other members were paid, with the exception they did ask, as I understand they asked, did the town at least pay your tuition? To which he responded, yes. With that, my class is accounting and budgeting, and that really is, and I think I don't know if the vice mayor fell asleep during my class or not. It's really quiet. He sat over there, never heard people out of him. Maybe I bored him to death, maybe I did not. But the accounting and budgeting, as I explained, is where the rubber hits the road. That's where the money, doesn't matter what the rhetoric is, what the politicians say. It's where you put your money, that's what you're going to do, and that's the plan for the year. With that, I would like to present the certificate of completion to the vice mayor. It's truly an honor and a pleasure. The great honor. Good attention? Is that what you said?
Attention.
I thought you were sleeping.
No.
I know it was something for Jim to wear a tie. At the same time, it shows how unique our community is. We've got people up here that serve because we care about the community, not for a paycheck. So anyway, it's interesting, the rest of the attendees all get paid for their services. We put in a lot of time, but it's because we care about it.
And I agree.
Thank you
very much, Mike.
Okay, we have Pete Riley with Waste Pro.
Your Honor, I had invited Mr. Riley and Louis Packer.
Patricia couldn't make it this evening. She had another appointment.
As you know, you had requested that I get together with folks in Waste Pro and go over the possible rates and the programs, and we're here to accept that to you tonight. So with that, I'll turn over to you. I don't know if you have any presentation or
just short and sweet. Mr. Mayor, honorable council members, thank you very much for your time. We had been out to see you a while ago and you had expressed an interest in semi-automated service or automated service. We thought you were leaning towards semi-automated service. And I'm here tonight to let you know that it's also the RRI time. I'm sure you guys have seen the increase this year is 4.67%. Waste Pro was prepared to offer to you tonight no increase for this year. If the town is willing to re-sign the contract with us for another 5 years. And with that said, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. This is an RFP next year, but we're going to tell you what we would do it for. The new rate that we would propose would be $27.50 for home. We would not give, if a decision was made by the town, we would not give the increase this year. So you would remain at your $29.87 rate instead of the new rate, which is $31.26. So immediately you'll save $21,000 by making the decision. If the interest was expressed about the 95-gallon cars. We're prepared to make an offer tonight if you're interested in another 5-year deal starting again in 10-1-13. Besides the no increase this year on the RRI, the Refuse Rate Index, we would also, at our expense, in about $100,000, maybe a little less, we would give you the carts at our cost. With the town of Waxahachie Grove's name, I know there was, Frank Shiola had expressed to me that one thing he really wanted was serial numbers. We would numberize them, and we would put the town logo on it. That would all be at our expense, and we could deliver them out, depending on what decisions you make as early as the first of the year, and everything stays the same. I know that some of the people are really concerned about, well, I don't want the 95-gallon car. I put my stuff on the truck. I've got a long, back 40. I got a long way to go. Well, that won't change. That would stay exactly the same. So, to kind of make it short and sweet, the first year, if you sign now and you go with us for 213 start, 1013 start, the first year it'd be like a month free. Because you're savings to the town, it's a pretty simple math, it's $35,894, which is about your monthly rate, $1,000. So that's one of the first things that we like to let you know, if you're interested in amending your contract to re-sign with us. We would also do it if you didn't want the cars. With the offer that Waste Pro is putting on the table, you don't want you certainly not to want the cars. If that's what you're so inclined now. It would be they'd be yours. Everybody wouldn't have to take them, but the 1,260 homes that are on the books now would be 1,260 cars that we would deliver for you. You can do as you please with them. It could be people can volunteer and say, I'll come down and pick it up at City Hall or wherever you want, or I can deliver them out at Town Hall, or we can deliver them out for you. And I think we've done it in the past. We would probably do that the week after Christmas. So that by 1/13, with no increase in the rate, last year's rates, we will now have 95-gallon cars. Patricia Christensen, of course, is your our marketing person that really wanted to be here to present all this to you. So when I'm here for the night, she couldn't make it. She had another appointment. She did come to see me at the end of the day and told me to express her sorrow that she couldn't make it. But we could iron out any of the other details, but what I'm saying now is pretty straightforward. There'll be a real savings. There'll be an immediate savings of $21,000 next year. I'm not getting the increase. With the new lower rate, which we're going to put it out on the table now, even though if you decide that you don't want to go to it, you don't want to take our offer, there's a good benchmark for people to say, well, we know where Waste Pro's going to be. Call it corrected now. So that's pretty much it. If there's any other questions, of course, the logo, and I mentioned that to you, and whatever else you wanted on it. We'd like to do them in our colors. It's just, that's the deal we have with our manufacturer, but, we consider whatever else you want to. They're new cars, they'd be only for you, they'd say, well, attach and go, put the turtle on it, and, whatever else you wanted. And there was one thing that was brought up, at the last time we discussed this with you, some people were asking, what about an extra 95-gallon car? We're kind of thinking there'd have to be a charge. We would know what the base cost is, and then the city could make the town can make their own decision on what they want to charge for the second one. But the beauty of it that way is, people that don't want to do it don't have to do it. So that's just something we wanted to put out on the table. And in honesty, being the operations guy, I got to tell you that the increase is the increase. Contractually, we're into it, so it will start 10/1/12, and we very essential all that information, so you have that. So we would like you to consider it, and if you have any questions, I'll certainly try to field them right now.
Okay. Phil?
I have a question for Mark. Is there a renewal in the contract? Renewal?
Thank you, that's a great question. As Pete knows, Pete and Tricia and I had a very candid discussion of this issue when they tossed some of the proposals, some of the particulars of the proposal at me during our meeting. From looking at the contract, it appears that it runs through to 2013, and in the term section of the contract, it does not really look like it gives any wiggle room relative to additional years or renegotiations. So what I would advise the council tonight, based upon that, is Mike and I have talked about it. Mike and I will get together and we'll take a look at it from a procurement standpoint, and we'll get the proposal ready to you on the board with a recommendation as to how we can address the issue, whether we can consider the proposal by Waste Pro, just what the situation is. We'll have that for the September.
Okay. So that's what we'll deal with it. Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving to item 5A.
He didn't know it was me.
Before we go any farther, we do have a couple of distinguished guests with us. Mayor Mattioli is back here in the crowd. Michelle Damon is also with us. We've got our county commissioner, Jeff Sandberg. So, welcome to all of you. No, Mike Erickson is also there.
Oh, I'm not distinguished.
Not that I used to be.
How about half then?
But anyway, welcome to all of you. All right. Jim, start this off.
Well, Mr. Mayor, why don't I just go ahead and just introduce the items? Since you have 3 items on the agenda tonight, I'll just go briefly through what they are. You have the second reading, which is ordinance 2012-04. This is the adoption hearing of the comprehensive plan amendment that will change the future land use map of the property currently owned by the Simons. Currently, it has a designation of mixed land use. And this first application will change the future land use of that property back to RR5 and then additionally put back on the commercial low designation on 21.73 acres of the parcel, which is the square on the immediate southeast corner of that property. What that does is that it eliminates the MOU, which you approved earlier this year, I believe. And the RR5 is a land use that does allow the use by Palm Beach State College. That's ordinance number 2012-04. 2012-05, that ordinance is a text and amendment to your comprehensive plan that relates solely to the Palm Beach State College parcel once it's changed back to RR5 and provides for development standards and uses of that property as a state college. And then the third aspect, the third item that you have is a resolution that will prove, which is here to consider adoption of the master site development plan. That is, the master site development plan is what's contemplated in the text amendment that you'll be hearing of the ordinance 2012-05, and it lists the items that need to go into that. As you know, what has been presented to the town is that the state college intends to develop this property over a lengthy period of time. Some time frames that we've given is over 50 years. So this item is intended to provide a blueprint for that future development. The second reading or public hearings, the resolution adopting the master development site plan is quasi-judicial. When we get to that item, we'll need to more formalize the discussion through the process set forth in our code and swear folks in and consider, for lack of a better term, evidence. But at this time, that's what you have. You're calling up right now ordinance 2012-04. Be your prerogative whether to have me read the titles at the beginning of each presentation or after you conclude and right before a vote. I think we typically have you read the title at the beginning. So I'd like to go ahead and get that on the record so folks know what it is that we're considering at this time. In just a second here, I am trying to read my computer here because the agenda was so long. I'm trying to save a tree. Okay. Town of Waxahachie Groves ordinance number 2012-04. An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Waxahachie Groves, Florida, amending the Town of Waxahachie Groves, Florida comprehensive plan to amend the comprehensive plan text to rescind special policy 1.15.1 under objective 1.15 of the future land use element. And 2, amend the future land use map SLU-1.10 to rescind the multiple land use designation and specific reference to special policy 1.15.1 under 96.73 acres located in the northwest corner of Southern Boulevard and B Road in Waxahachie Groves, Florida, thus restoring the RR5 land use designation on the property. Amending the future land use map to assign the commercial road designation to the 21.73 acres located at the northwest corner of Southern Boulevard and B Road, Waxahachie Groves, Florida, is indicated in Exhibit 1 here too, providing for amendment to the comprehensive plan to reflect such changes, providing for conflict, severability, and effective date.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jim?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. As Mike said, ordinance 2012-04 is up for second reading, adopting the comprehensive plan amendment 12-1. The subject property is the 96.73 acre parcel known as the Simon property, which is located at the northwest corner of Southern and B Road. The current future land use designation assigned to the property is multiple land use. The property is also subject to future land use element special policy 1.15.1, which limits development potential to the following maximum: 21 acres of commercial low and a maximum of 91,476 square feet of retail space, 21 acres of commercial low office, and a maximum of 130,000 square feet of office, and 55 acres of RR5, rural residential 5, and a maximum of 19 residential units. Proposed amendment 12-1 will rescind the designation from the delete the policy 1.15.1, which sets the current maximum development potential of this property, and it will assign a commercial low future land use designation to the 21.73 acre portion of the property located immediately at the corner of Southern and Green. The net result of the amendment will be to assign or revert to 75 acres of rural residential 5 on property known as the Palm Beach State College parcel, and 21.73 acres of commercial low at the corner. The local planning agency recommended approval at its April 2012 meeting. The council approved ordinance 2012-04 on first reading at its June 2012 meeting. Following that meeting, staff transmitted the amendment to the following agencies for review consistent with state statutory requirements: the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, Florida Department of Transportation, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, the Department of State, the South Florida Water Management District, and Palm Beach County Planning, Zoning, and Building Department. We received responses from only 3 of those entities: the South Florida Water Management District, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, and the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. None of those 3 responses raised any issues of concern. And as part of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council submitted a staff report where they have recommended to the council to approve the amendment. The Regional Planning Council is not going to meet on the amendment until September 21st due to some meeting cancellations. As I said, no issues were identified by any of the agencies that we sent the amendment to for review. We also sent the amendment to the Palm Beach County Intergovernmental Planning and Review Committee for any comments that any local municipal governments may have, and we received no responses through that committee as well. The staff report is included in pages 68 through 76 of your agenda package, and the ordinance itself is included in pages 77 through 83. Similar to our recommendation at the June meeting, staff finds the amendment generally consistent with the comprehensive plan of the town of Los Angeles Roads and recommends approval.
All right. I've got a lot of comment cards. It surprises me how many. And it's interesting because we've had other meetings and haven't had near this turnout or this kind of thing. So I'm at a little bit of a left. This, what we're dealing with right now is changing back the zoning to RR5.
The land use.
The land use to RR5. But I've got a lot of people here that live all over the Groves that say they're opposed to the college. So does that mean they want to stay commercial, which is what it is now? Because, you know, or are we going back to RR5? I mean, you know, I'm in a little bit of quandary. But anyway, anybody on the council got some idea?
Mr. Mayor, do you want to hear from the college?
Sure. Come on up.
Or the applicant?
The applicant, yeah. Yeah.
Good evening. For the record, Bob and Seinfeld. And I'm here today representing the first of the three items you have in front of you, which, as the mayor's indicated, is a comprehensive plan amendment approval to change the comp plan on the Simon property to a combination of R5 and commercial low. As you all know, the property today is three land use categories: commercial low, commercial low office, and R5. We're actually reducing the amount of commercial on the property. This amendment itself is not, I guess, specific to the college, but it does allow land use, it will permit the college to be on this property. I think the next two items are much more specific to the college itself. You have seen this item a number of times. I do have a PowerPoint presentation queued up if you would like me to run through it. It is specific only to the comp plan amendment change, so if you would like, I'll be happy to go through it. If not, I can stand down and answer any questions, whichever you would prefer.
What are your thoughts, council? I think it's probably good for the people to see it. Okay. Anybody disagree with me? That's okay.
Okay, this is a relatively brief presentation to give you a little bit of an overview of the comp plan amendment. This item has been before you a number of other times. A couple of months ago, you actually approved this item on first reading. It has also been approved by your advisory board. Tonight is in final adoption, second reading by the council, as well as the adoption of the comprehensive plan amendment. This has also been viewed by the state of Florida, the Department of Economic Opportunity, and the state, the OPCA. Quick overview of what this was approved as previously compared to what we are doing today. Again, the Simon property is 96.7 acres. It is located on the northwest corner of Key Road and Southern Boulevard, of course, in the town of Los Angeles Groves. This is the parcel here identified in yellow, roughly 97 acres in size. Previously, in July of last summer, about 13 months ago, three land use categories were assigned to this property. Previously, all of the property was R5 within the town. The property was changed to a multiple land use designation, and under that MLU, again with these three different categories, majority of the property, roughly 55 acres of that site, was retained that RR5 designation, which was a northern, 40% or 60% of the overall property. On the hard corner, the intersection there, the northwestern corner of Southern Boulevard and B Road, is a 21-acre parcel. That parcel was approved as commercial low, which allows retail and office uses on that parcel. And the third parcel, roughly another 21-acre parcel in size, was designated commercial low office, or CLO. CLO was allowed to allow for 130,000 square feet of commercial office type uses on that adjoining property, and that parcel was immediately to the west of the commercial low retail parcel, as the graphic here shows you. Today, we're making some changes to that. We're really changing the majority of the property back to our R5. 55 acres to the north remains the R5. In addition to that, the 21 acres that was commercial low office is also being converted back to R5. We are eliminating the 130,000 square feet of office space that was approved on that property from a comp plan perspective. The commercial low remains the same on the corner. There's a slight change to it from 91,000 to 94,000 square feet. Once again, the reason for that change is that it reflects and is consistent with what your comprehensive plan says. Your comp plan talks about a maximum building coverage of 10%, and 10% of 21.7 acres is that 94,655 square foot number, which is where that number comes from. So that would mean you'd have 75 acres of R5 compared to the 55 acres you had before, roughly. And again, the corner parcel would remain commercial low as was approved a year ago. In addition to that, the MLU designation is being removed from the property. That was that multiple land use category. The area kind of in the yellowish green color, which is the 75 acres, is again where they proposed the location for the Palm Beach State College campus and within the town of Los Angeles Groves. A quick comparison chart of where we are today and where we're going to be hopefully after you approve this item. Today the item we have 130,000 square feet of office that's been approved a year ago. That would go down to 0 on the property. The commercial of 91,476 increases slightly to 94,655. Once again, a result of reflecting the 10% building coverage for commercial low usage within the town of Los Angeles Groves. The total amount of square footage, commercial square footage, previously was 221,000 square feet. That's dropping down to 94,000 square feet, primarily reflecting the reduction of the office space from the overall site. So you have a reduction of 126,000 square feet. However, of course, you are adding back in Palm Beach State College, which of course is the next couple of items that you're going to be talking about tonight. A couple of other little, maybe minor details relevant to the request, just about access into the site, how do you get in and out of the overall property. Of course, the intersection of Southern Boulevard and Main Road is the traffic light at that intersection. There are 3 access points into the property off of Southern Boulevard. None of them are left ends into the site. The first one is directly into the commercial property. It is a right-in, right-out access point. Second one, which is in the middle of the property, is a shared access point, which is also a right-in, right-out location into the property off of Southern Boulevard. And third, there is a right-in only directly into the college property. So again, you have these 3 access points. They're located along Southern Boulevard, and we were being very proactive. We did get these approved by the Florida Department of Transportation, which just reflects in this letter from FDOT relevant to Southern Boulevard, since that is their roadway. In addition, along B Road, we do have a couple of access points. One of them is right at the future extension of Tangerine. Tangerine Drive, of course, is located to the east of the site. It will basically terminate at the property line that's right there between the commercial parcel and the school. And that will again extend to the east through the town of Lock City Grove and almost serves as a service road for Southern Boulevard within the town itself. And that, of course, will be one of the access points into the site. The other one will be a little bit further to the north, and that will be located directly into the college's property and be the primary access into the college. B Road, just very quickly, there's been a lot of discussions about B Road. We'll be back before you again when we come in for zoning approvals. Again, this is comp plan. We'll talk about the specifics to B Road, but there's been a number of meetings. In fact, there's been a meeting since the last public hearing that we had. Make a long story short, the B Road will be improved. The section from Collecting Canal down to Southern Boulevard will be paved with asphalt, so that'll be an asphalt section of roadway. It will not just be 2 lanes, it will also include the respective turn lanes at the intersection of Southern Boulevard and B Road. So north of Collecting Canal is going to be the Oldham Surface, which is similar to what you have in other areas. It's been placed within the town of Lock City Grove. And again, that's going to run from Collecting Canal up to Okeechobee Boulevard. Finally, there's been discussions about traffic calming, concerns about traffic going to the north. The primary goal here is to discourage vehicles going to the north up to Okeechobee Boulevard and orient them down towards Southern Boulevard. We will be having a series of traffic calming elements. We are estimating they're going to be roughly every 500 feet along the section of road from Okeechobee Boulevard down to the Collecting Canal. In addition to that, you'll have a 4-way stop condition at the Collecting Canal and B Road. So that area again will be an open surface with the related traffic calming along that section of roadway in the town of Lock City Grove. And as I mentioned to you a moment ago, this is all privately funded by really the 2 corners, the northeast and northwest corner of Southern Boulevard and B Road. It was committed to the town a year ago and will occur simultaneously with the development of these properties, which we expect to occur here in the next year. So hopefully that'll be a very positive element to the overall town. That pretty much concludes the comprehensive plan element of the presentation. Again, it's relatively straightforward. We are changing some of the property from office space back down to the RR5 designation. Again, we are eliminating roughly 130,000 square feet of office space on the property, which will allow the college to be located on that 75-acre parcel. Any questions related to the comp plan? I'm here to answer them. If it's about the college, that's some of it. So, thank you very much.
All right, any council members? Questions for Bob? All right, thank you very much. Now, most of the comment cards do not have agenda items. So I'm not a mind reader up here, so I guess I'm going to assume that most of these want to deal with item 7 on the agenda, which is the college, and not to change at R5. I've got 3 that specifically say 5A. Anybody else that wanted theirs for 5A that didn't put it on, let me know, and I'll bring your comment up. Nina, yours is one of them.
Actually, mine is marked. However, some of these were filled out because you didn't put the agenda out for the public until
and that's why I'm asking.
On Thursday night, and so people
right.
may not have been able to put an agenda item on there.
That's why I'm asking.
Assuming they would be 5A, B, and 7A.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking if anybody wants to speak to 5A. for the R5? Yes. Okay, which one? You're, okay. What up?
Marcia Newell, 3508 Richmond Road. My question has to do with if we rezone this and it ends up with the college, how much tax money do we lose since the state doesn't pay taxes on the land? And if the college owns the commercial property, do we get taxes on the commercial property, or do we lose that also because the college owns it?
The commercial will not be owned by the college. We will get taxes for that.
How much will we lose in the X number of acres that we're going to rezone that the college is going to have?
I'm assuming you would prefer commercial where we would get taxes?
We have taxes now, even though it's not developed.
Right.
Obviously, if we take a big chunk of 96.73 acres that we're now not going to have taxes for, that's a hell of a big chunk.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a major problem for the landowners out here, because somebody's got to make up the difference.
Okay. Ron, you got an answer to that?
I got an answer for you right now. I don't know how many years Mr. Simon's owned the property, but that property has been classified as ag. I got a tax report on how much they've been paying the county and now they're paying the town. Let me put it to you this way, until the commercial businesses get in there, and then I could verify it with paperwork and with the amount of money. But I'd be, and town manager, Mike could help me out here, but the 21 acres that'll be commercial load, could be anything from offices to restaurants or whatever. The taxes we'll get from the 21 acres will probably be roughly about 10 times the amount that we've gotten over all these years. And that's why it doesn't bother me that we don't get any revenue from the college. I'm not looking for revenue from the college. I'm looking for benefits for our kids, for people looking for jobs, for people, to bring people to Loxahatchee to buy our foreclosures and stuff.
Okay, I didn't ask you that.
Well, I just told you that. Respect me when I talk, please. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
If you'll answer my question, I'd appreciate it. Okay. On that property, are there animals? Okay.
Thank you. Cattle on there.
Cattle.
Okay. All right, I've got Bill Lauda. Marcia, you did have your number on there. And Nina Corning.
I guess, excuse me, Bill, excuse me just a second, Bill, it has nothing to do with you, but it might have something to do with somebody that has a red VW convertible that have left the lights on when they try to go home. Tag 302 ECB. So if they happen to know that car, they want to know. Thank you.
Bill?
I guess this is the proper place because it's the first step. Anyway, in the whole process, in 1 year, 7 months, and 9 days, I retired from active faculty at FAU. And I've been pursuing alternatives rather than sitting on the front porch. And one of these is trying to get a teaching position at Long Beach State College right here in Loxahatchee Road. So what I'm about to say and suggest will likely kill that hope, but I feel for the good of the community, this far outweighs my little plan. From when the first concept of the branch campus was told to us, it was nothing near this intense. Okay, I was looking forward to a small branch campus here that would fit into the woods, be a good neighbor that way. 5-story buildings are just, I don't know where that came from. It's ridiculous. Because we have a 3-story building at FAU, at Palm Beach State College, and it's a big building. The top of it is over. I can see it over the top of the Cuban Royals, which is a tall tree. Okay. And then I just heard that they don't want the horses along the northern edge. That flies in the face of our planting efforts. But really, though, is the amount of commercial given the remaining Simon acreage is equally, I mean, is more intrusive to the Loxahatchee Groves neighborhood, something that I helped plan in the mid-90s with the mayor. You know, just the idea of even suggesting a Publix in Loxahatchee Groves makes my stomach turn. And then now we're looking at going to CL on the Morello properties as well. The whole point of this is that we never sat back and did planning. Okay. This whole strip, we said, should we go to commercial, it should be along Southern. But but it should be planned, okay? And not do it piecemeal, because the reason I want to do this now is the land use change before going on, is that it's been said a million times. Journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This is that step. So you need to think about what you're really doing long term. And I'd love to see the college here, but I don't want what I'm now perceiving as an unbelievable, large, intrusive thing into the community. Anyway,
Okay, as far as the 5 acre zoning, that's really what this one's all about.
yeah, I know, but that's the first step going back towards it, because it can't be done in the MLU, it can be done in the RR5, so that's where you're going. This is the first step of a 1,000-mile journey.
So are you for changing it back to R5?
Right now, no, because that's the first step.
It's staying with commercial.
Whatever, because you still have that buffer on the MLU between it and the properties to the north. And we could go in and we could do some trail systems along the canal that way. We can maybe have more commercial, but we got zoning, land use, site plans, all of these stumbling blocks. But this is the first step. You have to think about what you're doing. And as you go forward with the whole ballgame, which is probably going to happen, below the bridge.
Okay. Now, I don't think the horse trail is eliminated. I think the 300-foot linear parkway, but the horse trail is not. Okay, Nina, what else?
Nina Corning, E-Road. I am in agreement with Dr. Latta that this is the first step. Rescinding it for the purpose of building 19 homes on there would have been one thing. One, Land Design South is piggybacking on the rescinding for the college, putting the commercial in, which it has no inherent right in it. It's rescinded. Two, that commercial goes in deeper than we had agreed on in our comp plan. And the use of that land to put a college in is not reflected in your traffic studies. And I'd like you to please hand that out. And I'd like you to keep this for all of the items, 5A, 5B, and 7. They're going to be relevant to all of them, and I don't think I need to put them out here. Now, I had a PowerPoint. Unfortunately, it disappeared on my computer, and I was very frustrated I couldn't get it in front of me. So I'm going to do this without. We've handed out some of the information for the public, which is why I wanted to put that PowerPoint. We're looking, when we look later on this master plan, and you start calculating, and I'll calculate this out a little better for you later, but not at 5A. We're looking at a potential of 3,267,000 square feet. That does not reflect 15 homes or the footprint of 15 homes. Now, the potential students, and you can say, we're not going to do all of this. We're going to slice and dice these numbers. We're going to go and cut them in half, cut them in quarters, even cut them in 8. Does not reflect this traffic study. This traffic study that is provided to you by, very funny, in-house, Land Design South, probably done by Juan Ortigo, is reflecting only the CLO that you have taken out, and that's it. I'm really surprised that they can actually even get FDOT approval. Did they send all of that information to Treasure Coast and Florida Department of Economics Opportunity? Of course.
Everybody else see?
This is the first
Neutralize it. If you can neutralize it by sending it because you're only supposed to know south along the ballot instead. Nobody's done because she did farmers market.
All right. Everybody have a seat, please. It'll be a long night as it is. Okay, moving to resolution 7. Michael.
Mr. Mayor, this is item number 7A, which is resolution 2012-10, which is the approval of the master site development plan. This item right here, unlike your other requirements, what I suggest we do is I'll read the title of the resolution and then I'll go through the process and the code. I'd like everyone to bear with me because most folks here don't have the code in front of them and they can understand why it is that we're doing what we're doing in the order that we're doing it. Resolution number 2012-10. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Rock Hedge, Florida, approving the master site development plan for Palm State College campus pursuant to special policy 1.14.4 under objective 1.15 of the land development of the town's comprehensive plan for the development of the 74.99 acre property located generally at the northwest corner of Southern Boulevard and B Road, Buckhead Coast Florida, known as Palm Beach State College, as specifically indicated within the master site development plan attached to Exhibit 1, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for effective date. As indicated, this is a quasi-judicial matter, which means that it is a more formal process. And what I'd like to do is go through the mayor. You conduct the proceedings, obviously, you still remain the chair. At the end of the explanation, I need to swear in folks who want to provide testimony to you. As I'll explain later, public comment folks do not necessarily need to be sworn in if they want to give opinion, but they want you to consider any facts that they're going to present. They need to be given the same way as sworn testimony. You don't need to be sworn in. Under the code and general case law of quasi-judicial, the applicant has the burden of proof and presents evidence and testimony in support of the application. This application is for a master development site plan. You just approved the language that says what that plan has to do, has to have in it, and your purpose of you're considering this item tonight is you as the fact finder sitting up there in the capacity of council will make a determination whether they have complied with the requirements of the comprehensive plan so that we can approve the plan. The applicant presents first. They have a maximum of 30 minutes for a full presentation. This includes any opening or direct testimony without any cross in case we get back and forth with some questions. At the end of their presentation, it goes to staff. Staff has up to 30 minutes to present exhibits and evidence on behalf of the town or on behalf of staff. Again, they're limited to 30 minutes as well, including cross-examination. Other persons who wish to submit relevant information to you can come up during the public hearing, which you would call after staff presents the application. Presidents and representatives of town recognized homeowners or civic associations may speak for 5 minutes. Others are limited to 3 minutes. People cannot give their time to other speakers, as set forth in the code. Members can present non-expert opinions, but public sentiment is not relevant to your decision. You are to consider the facts that are put in and weigh it against the criteria to see whether this plan should be done. At the end of the public comments, town staff goes in reverse, town staff goes, and the applicant gets the last opportunity to speak. They present any additional evidence that they feel is necessary for your consideration, and then it's turned over to you for deliberation. And once it's turned over to you for deliberation, there's no more further testimony and evidence unless you as a board, as a council, take a motion to reopen the hearing, in which case we would have to go through the same two-step process for that new information. So at this time, as I indicated earlier, this is quasi-judicial. If anybody Anybody who's going to be speaking and presenting evidence and facts, I need to swear you in. Raise your right hand. If there's anybody that's not in this room who can hear me but cannot be physically sworn in, when you come in, indicate you were not in the room. I don't know if we have any more open. And then we can swear you in at the time you speak. But probably best now if we can do everybody at the same time. If you think you might speak and give some facts and you want them to be considered as evidence, raise your hand and I'll swear you in at this time. Okay, do you swear or affirm that the statements or testimony you give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chair, at this time, it would be appropriate to hear from the applicant. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council, my name is Brian Seymour with Gunster. We are honored to be representing Palm Beach State College tonight. Because this is quasi-judicial, I call this the lawyer section. I will try to be brief. There are a couple of procedural matters I would like to undertake. First, I have what is, I believe, the most updated and correct traffic letter, which we'd like to submit for the record. It's a Florida Department of Transportation letter dated February 28, 2012, which is to Mr. Adam Kerr, who is our traffic engineer, from Jackson Sosa, the District Traffic Access Manager at the Florida Department of Transportation. The only other procedural thing, Mr. Mayor, is that we have submitted all of our experts, but when we named one, we didn't yet have the resume. Mr. John Lascanis. He graduated with a degree in architecture in 1971 from the Lawrence Technical University located in Southfield, Michigan. Worked for several local architectural firms in and around Detroit. And then in 1976 began a private architectural practice in Michigan, which he managed until 1981 when he relocated to Palm Beach. At that time, he was the first architect that was ever hired by the engineering department at Palm Beach County and was appointed as the director of the architectural division. In 1992, he left the county to go work for Palm Beach State College and was actually the first architect to work for the college as well. He's still employed there. He is the director of facilities for Palm Beach State College, for which he was appointed in 1996. Most of his testimony will likely be factual, but in the event he does need to provide any expert testimony, we'd like to add it to our experts.
Yes. Unless you have an objection to that, you can do that.
Thank you very much. The comprehensive plan amendments that you just approved are the framework for what we're going to be talking about this evening. And I just want to go through them very quickly. But you can see that the regulations that are applied are the SREF, the state requirements for educational facilities. They're adopted by rule by the Department of Education. The Florida Building Code will apply, the Florida Fire Prevention Code, the South Florida Water Management District regulations, and of course your own Los Angeles Groves Water Control District regulations. All are going to govern as we go through and develop this site over the course of time, and that is added into your comp plan with force and effect. Special Policy 1.154B is the requirements for the site-specific issues that have to be approved by this council. The key documents being the Master Site Development Plan and the design guidelines. Those are the two things we're going to spend our time here talking about tonight. There we go. Here's the key factor. This is what we're looking to do. Following your direction and following the direction of your Planning and Zoning Board, your LPA, what's required is that the design guidelines be consistent with the intentions of the Rural Vista guidelines that can be applied as they can be applied to the college campus. Obviously, not everything applies directly, but it is something we've done. And we're going to go through and actually give you some great detail through that. Mr. McGuido, who is the planner and architect who worked on those, is going to give a presentation. You heard earlier from Dr. Gallen, he's going to give you a little bit on their track record. I know you've heard some of that before, but there was a lot of discussion about future ability to control things. It's important to understand this track record because this does come down to trust. And these are folks that you can trust. And the man who can talk to you about it best is Dr. Gallen. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about it, so I'm going to let Dr. Gallen come up and talk a little bit about how Palm Beach State has built up two of their campuses that are great examples of what you can expect as things go forward here.
Good afternoon again. I would like to just take off from where I left, and that is to remind you that we have 4 full-service campuses that we operate in the institution. 3 of them are on the I-95 corridor, and 1 is in Belgrade. Those 4 campuses are strategically located to serve the residents of the eastern part of this county and the western part of the county. And as I indicated, the residents who live in this community, Palm Beach County, that are most underserved by this institution, the individuals who live in this community. And that is the reason that we are so much inclined to establish this campus at this location. For your information, we do have students who are traveling from one campus outside of their residential area when there is a particular program of study that they would like to have. But for the most, about 80% of the individuals who are attending one of our camps, they live within that immediate area. And so that is the reason that we want to make the courses and programs that we have at this institution easy, accessible. And so now we will look at what we have for 2 different campuses that we have. And one of them that I like to show is the one at the Lake West campus. It's 114 acres that was given to the institution by the county. And what you see there is an aerial of that campus. This is in 2011. But I'd like to share with you what happened. This property was given to the institution in 1955, and this is a 1954 aerial, which shows you what that acreage looked like. Quite barren, wasn't too much in the immediate area, and as a result of that, we took that very barren piece of property and converted it into the property that you see in that immediate area today. It is, if you look at it very carefully, you would see that it is a piece of property that we have taken great pains to develop over the years. And as I indicated earlier, that if you were to walk through all of our campuses, and particularly the campus that we have in Lake Worth, you will see that we have done quite a bit in terms of modernizing this location, both the physical structure as well as the landscape of that particular area. And it is one of, I think that you will agree with me, that's one of the most well preserved areas in that particular location. The other piece of property that I would like to talk to you about as a comparison, the property at the Palm Beach Gardens campus. This is a piece of property that we opened in 1968, and it is our first opportunity to demonstrate to this community, in county that is, the kind of values that we hold in terms of providing an environment that would be easily accessible as well as having great ambience. That particular piece of property had a lot of vegetation on it, and it was given to the college, and as a result of that, it very much allowed us to take it and convert it into a piece of property that we all are very proud of, and you have referenced that piece of property already, indicating that it certainly it's been well preserved, it has good boundaries, and of course, we feel very good about the kind of atmosphere that we've created. This is another part, another picture of this campus. It is remarkably well suited for student engagement, and our students do take full advantage of the kind of landscape that we have, and that is what we hope to duplicate at this campus. The potential is there because of the vegetation that exists on this island property that is located in your community. We have a sincere desire to convert that piece of property to a campus as you see on Palm Beach Gardens campus. We want to be here and we want to serve this community. So thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gallagher. How many acres is Palm Beach Gardens campus? How many acres is that?
Lake Worth, 114.
113, sir.
113.
You have it in front of you on the
Excuse
top
me.
of it. I think.
123.
123. 123.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gallen. Mayor, council members, my name is Jose Magrito. I'm delighted to see you all again. I am going to take you through how we assembled the master site development plan. But one thing I wanted to pick up on that Dr. Gallen mentioned was how important the ambiance is to creating a campus lifestyle. The reason that this property is so precious to the college is because it has the vegetation that it has on it. And as you can see in the Palm Beach Gardens campus, that gives the college a running start. That creates that campus lifestyle, which is a very right state of mind for intellectual growth. So it's very much part of the attraction and in fact guided the construction of the plan. Let me take you through how we did that. I'll go right here. The first one is that, of course, it has some wonderful resources in it. It has wetlands, it has cypress knees, it has wonderful edges around it. And the planning principles behind this is we're designing the campus around what's unique and authentic about it. It's that very landscaping, that very environment that creates the campus lifestyle in the vegetation is what's going to benefit the architecture and the connection to the community. In addition to that, there's a very rich ring of buffers in it. As was mentioned earlier, there was some concern as to the type of materials in those boundaries. And I'm going to have Colleen come up and talk to you specifically about it. But a lot of the information, a lot of the material is already there. It has beautiful edges around it. You can see some of the images that we have on the slides there. The idea is to preserve those and supplement them. Colleen will share with you the plan.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, council members. Colleen Walter with Urban Design Play Studios. I am a registered landscape architect and a certified land planner, for the record. One of the things that I do want to emphasize, and it's right on page 2 in the design guidelines, is that one of the primary goals that's going to govern the development of this site is, as Jose indicated, is that the site design shall incorporate existing native vegetation and natural features that preserve and enhance the character of Loxahatchee Grove. That is one of the governing principles in the development of these design guidelines and the development of the master site plan. In regards to starting from the outside of the site and working inwards, one of the first things we did was take a look at the landscape buffers that would be addressed as part of the design guideline. And we looked at what the town code would require, and the college said we want to do more than what the town code requires. We're not here to do a minimal project. We've got the Palm Beach Gardens campus. We want to make sure that this campus is very nice, that it fits into the community, and it's consistent with the philosophy that we've already implemented in our other campuses. And starting with the right-of-way buffers, which would be those buffers along Southern Boulevard and Bee Road. Your code in section 85-055C would require that there be a minimum 15-foot width buffer. It would require that there be one tree for every 30 lineal feet, and that there would be a hedge on the inside of the buffer. What is proposed, and you'll see on page 6 of the design guidelines, is that the college is proposing, and these are all minimums. You need to essentially create minimum standards that you can work from. But that they're proposing that the buffer be a minimum of 25 feet in width, so increasing from 15 to 25, that there'll be one shade tree for every 20 linear feet to calculate the number of trees. But it allows those trees to be clustered so that you get more of a naturalistic design to the landscaping. The idea is not to have a soldier row, but to have a more naturalistic design so that it fits in more with the community. So there'd be a spacing of no more than 60 feet between clusters of trees, but the number of trees would be based on one tree per 20 linear foot, where your code requires one tree per 30 linear foot. So an increase in the number of trees. Also, the design guidelines state that instead of one hedge, which is what your code requires, that there'll be a minimum of 2 tiers of hedges, or what is most likely going to happen is that there'll be plant masses, again, to keep with the naturalistic theme, that there'll be a minimum of 3 shrubs in depth. So you're essentially not, again, just getting one hedge row, you're going to be getting masses of plantings that are going to be within the buffer. Going back to the overall philosophy, which is if there are existing native trees in there that can be preserved, they will be preserved and worked into the buffer design. So the idea would be to utilize new plantings to supplement any of the existing trees that are there. But these essentially create minimum requirements for these buffers. And as you'll see from the college, what they've done on other campuses is they've even exceeded the minimums. And as an aside, actually for the other campuses, those campuses are not governed by municipal jurisdiction, so this commitment to the town is above and beyond any commitment that the college has had to make previously. The western buffer has also been addressed specifically, and quite frankly, this buffer will serve to buffer the college more from the adjacent agricultural activities than vice versa. But also what is proposed there would be a buffer that would be a minimum of 25 feet in width. It would have a minimum of 1 shade tree for every 20 linear feet, and again, allow for the clustering. Your code actually does not have a minimum buffer width. It just states that there shall be a buffer that is no less than 6 feet in height, and that can be comprised of a hedge, a berm, a wall, or a fence. So your code actually doesn't even have a tree requirement for that buffer. So again, the college is proposing that they will do trees, they will do hedges, and that there will be a much wider buffer because your code actually does not have a minimum buffer requirement. The assumption would be 5 feet to be able to accommodate a hedge and a berm. The buffers that are adjacent to the proposed commercial development